Have you ever wondered why Frieza's race is basically him, his dad, and some offshoot cousins that pretty much show up when Toei wants some money in their pockets? I mean, for a race of alien creatures that can train for 4 months and then all of a sudden have godlike powers, you'd think the survival rate would be a little higher. Today we're tackling a theory hotter than a Super Saiyan 3 hairdryer. The potential that mayhaps Majin Buu destroyed Frieza's entire family. So lock in, grab a bag of Dorito, just one, and let's figure out if this theory has any weight at all or if it's a bunch of hogs. Don't Google that. Now, in order to figure out if Majin Buu is the reason there's barely any frost demons in the universe, we need to piece together some clues from across the Dragon Ball timeline. Here's what we do know. Majin Buu went on a rampage. It's apocalyptic. During the Buu Saga flashbacks, Supreme Kai tells us that the evil wizard Bibidi made Buu, that he only existed to destroy and kill. He doesn't have any reason or emotions, and in just a few years, 100 planets or more were turned into nothing by his hand. What else? Buu is ancient. Toriyama clarified in a 2014 Saikyō Jump article or interview that even though Bibidi thought he made Buu, actually Buu has always existed. So he's always been around. And so Buu cycles between long hibernation and endless rampage. That's his 2 modes. As he absorbs more and more evil, the more evil that he eats inside of whatever type of person he eats, the more violent and evil he becomes. And if he's existed for an extreme amount of time, that can make some sense, that he just endlessly gets worse and worse and worse over time. And then we have King Cold's warning in Resurrection F, and also recreated in Super, where this dude tells Frieza, hey, buddy, Goku defeated Majin Buu, so yeah. And Frieza's like, what the heck? That Goku's crazy boy. And then actually what he says is that, oh yeah, that's right, my dad said there's 2 people to never mess with, Buu and Beerus. And so, you know, retcon aside, see my other video, this would mean at least there's some sort of knowledge by King Cold that you don't mess with someone like this. And this is important because King Cold's a tyrant in Universe 7 canonically, okay? He wouldn't fear many beings at all, yet he specifically warns about Buu, a creature that had been sealed away for forever and ever and ever, and then Beerus, another creature who's never awake and potentially slept all the way through the Cold family's rise. So to warn about them means there must have been some run-in at some point for him to care or be knowledgeable of that fact. Unless, well, we'll get there. So let's think about the timeline here of how this would have taken place. According to the Kaioshin's flashback, we know that Buu went on a rampage a long time ago. This would have been when humans on Earth were barely walking. And in a short span of time, he raised hundreds of planets, or aka destroyed them. He supposedly killed 5 Supreme Kais and the Grand Supreme Kai. Now, suppose one of those planets that he destroyed forever ago was the home of Frieza's species. Most of the population perished, leaving perhaps King Cold or his ancestors and survivors. Buu would not know or care. He just attacked anything that moved. And then, of course, this warning gets passed down. The Cold family survived, escapes. Maybe they were already away conquering some other planet, or just in another galaxy by sheer luck, who knows? But horrified by Buu's power, they vowed to never challenge him. This trauma becomes a family mantra all of a sudden. You don't mess with Buu, you don't mess with Beerus. And so when Cold raises Frieza and Cooler, he tells his prodigy son to avoid them at all costs. All right, and then after Buu absorbs the Grand Supreme Kai, his personality dulls, and Bibidi eventually seals him away on Earth. For millions of years, he's asleep. By the time King Cold conquers the galaxy, Buu is now a legend. Beerus is also asleep for decades. And so then it makes sense that Frieza grows up thinking that Super Saiyans, Majins are myths. And then, you know, in the modern era when Buu is revived by Bibidi and fights the Z fighters. Not long before that, Frieza was killed by Goku, brought back, and also chopped in half by Trunks. So Frieza's been dead during the time, at least that we know of, during the time that Buu was fighting on Earth, and Goku saved the planet, and people got wished back, etc. So perhaps when Frieza is shocked that Goku killed Buu, it'd be one of like, oh, that guy really does exist, that guy I was never supposed to mess with. He really does exist. And Goku freaking killed him? He's the guy that my dad warned me about forever. Because he destroyed our whole family. Maybe. What about Frost? From Universe 6, huh? That proves his whole race isn't gone. Wow. It's a good point, and I knew you were about to write this comment. So let's just deal with that then. In Dragon Ball Super, the multiverse introduces Frost. He's a member of the same species from Universe 6, and he's described as a space pirate that looks like Frieza and can transform in the same sort of ways. But he spends his time posing as a hero, and he even won a peace prize, etc. Frieza coaches him to figure out his transformations, but he can't turn golden. Apparently that's unique to Frieza. His existence at least shows that that race exists in other universes, and so Frost doesn't ruin the theory. Rather, it shows that the race can survive in other universes when there's not a pink blob in the universe destroying every planet. So, now there's the non-canon folk, like Cooler and Chilled, that came out in the movies, and they're not canon, so who cares? Another debate is how Frieza's race reproduces. Toriyama once stated that Frieza was born from King Cold alone, meaning that there's no mama, it's just King Cold asexually reproduces and made Frieza. And this is true to the world in lizards, so I guess Frieza, lizard confirmed. But also, asexual reproduction can lead to mutations like it does in lizards, which might explain how Frieza has, a different transformation from Frost, or how maybe King Cold and Frieza are stronger than the whole rest of his race. Then maybe everyone else doesn't have that same sort of power like they do. Maybe. However, this means that repopulating their race on whatever planet they chose would take a very long time. If the Cold family struggled to survive Buu's rampage, then they might still struggle to rebuild their species over time. And so, if we're just maintaining it's all canon, people wonder, how did King Cold know about Beerus and Buu if they've all been asleep during their whole lifetime? Beerus occasionally wakes up to destroy planets. King Vegeta met Beerus, was embarrassed by him. So Cold, hearing of tales like this through the sources of people's fear because they have had run-ins, and it just the word gets around when there's someone that powerful in the universe. So a fear-mongering grapevine could make sense. However, if it was King Cold's entire lineage that was wiped out by Buu, they would never forget, right? And perhaps maybe they've also consulted Zeno at some point. Maybe they had a run-in with him and asked him about it. Maybe that's the case. Or Zuno. Zuno? So how likely is this theory then with all of those things in mind? King Cold specifically warns Frieza not to mess with them. This implies a personal reason. You wouldn't have anything to warn about if you didn't really know, especially some cocky family like King Cold and Frieza, right? Like they're so cocky they think they can own everyone. So unless they had a run-in where they got really spooked, you can imagine that they probably are aware because of some sort of altercation. The Kaioshin described that Buu turned hundreds of planets into dead worlds. There's plenty of opportunity there that erases a race, or many, and probably many. Toriyama's interview shows that Buu has always existed, and his rampage predates the Cold family of, supposedly he's always existed, so. And the race is very scarce. In Canon Universe 7, we know of Frieza, King Cold, and if we're counting Frost, he's from another universe, and he's still just one dude. He's not like he's hanging out with a bunch of dudes. And then there's non-canon relatives, Cooler, Chilled, but they don't really matter. Either way, the small number of this race, inside and outside of canon, non-canon sources, we see the scarcity would mean there's a small number of them anyways. So something happened at some point. We see a lot of the other races in DBZ a lot more. And then, of course, there's the parallel irony where Frieza destroyed Planet Vegeta in fear of the Super Saiyans, but maybe his planet was destroyed by Buu because they were strong. You know, Buu likes a good fight, so perhaps that's the case. Or did Buu only start liking good fights because he absorbed some Z fighters that are that way? I don't know. But what goes around comes around, right? But Brian, there's a lot of sources out there that state that Frieza, King Cold, they're mutants. Their race is normally weak. This is another one I knew I was going to get a comment on, but that's, hey, good point. Some guidebooks do state that Frieza and his family were prodigies, you know, compared to other species. That still doesn't answer why we see so few of them, right? A species being generally weak doesn't preclude its extermination. I mean, humans, look at them. Also, being a mutant could just mean that asexual reproduction over time, yeah. Couldn't the Cold family have destroyed their own people, though? Just realized that my camera died at that point in the video, so we'll just pick it up from here and finish from here. So the question was, couldn't the Cold people have just destroyed their own family? And so there is another possibility that King Cold or his ancestors wiped out the rest of their race. Maybe there was some power struggle or something, but none of the story or our context clues hint at such a thing. So there's no real reason to go down that path. Anyways, let's wrap this up. At the end of the day, sure, the theory remains speculative, right? We can't know for sure because there's nothing concretely canon that says this is exactly the truth. Maybe someday we will. Maybe someday that'll come out, maybe in Super, but for now, it's a theory. But the circumstantial evidence is pretty good, pretty juicy, if you ask me. King Cold's warning indicates some sort of knowledge of Buu, the threat of Buu. He must have come in contact with him at some point. The Kaioshin story, Toriyama's Q&A, Buu ravaged the universe forever, wiping out countless planets, and the near extinction of Frieza's race in Universe 7 is suspiciously consistent with planetary genocide. Whether or not you believe this theory, it does add some depth to the rivalry between Goku and Frieza, because it's like the same Saiyan who defeated me and killed me and whose buddy killed King Cold. Yeah, that same Saiyan avenged my people by defeating Buu, right? So it adds this sort of extra layer of tension between them. So what do you guys think? Dragon Ball fans? Does this hold water? Does it carry its own weight? Does it fly amongst the sea with the eagles and trees? Did Majin Buu turn the Frost Demons into Frost Sting? Or did King Cold just have an overactive imagination? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you're one of those, what about type of person, I'd love to go back and forth in the comments. I read them all, and I try to reply to every interesting one. So hit up down there. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the hype button, join the Discord, share this video to all of your people and friends, and maybe even your grandma who likes Dragon Ball. If she doesn't like Dragon Ball, also send it to her. She'll watch the whole thing. Say, this is my buddy. And then, you know, until next time, please come back again. Watch my other videos. I make a lot of them, and I just keep on making them, and I can't stop. I am addicted!
Brian the Boy.